What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got our Week 16 fantasy football wide receiver starts and sits for every single matchup, so make sure to tune in. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. Today's video is brought to you guys by Birddogs. And look, I know we're all searching for that perfect pair of shorts or pants that offers the best style, the best comfort, the best bang for your buck. Well, guess what? That search is over because Birddogs offers all of that and so much more. If you're looking for shorts, they have a ton of options with active wear, casual wear, or even beach wear. On top of that, their pants have a selection of khakis, joggers, and sweatpants. So what are you waiting for? Regardless of the occasion of the season, get yourself the most stylish, the most comfortable pair of pants with a built-in liner from Birddogs.com. And if you use promo code ADP today, you'll get a free rope hat with your purchase. Again, that's Birddogs.com, code ADP, and you'll get a free rope hat with your purchase. Make sure to check out birddogs.com, link in the description, and we kick off Week 16 on Thursday with the Jaguars at the Jets. And I'm not going to lie to you folks, yes, there's a lot of names to discuss here, but this by all accounts is a very risky game for fantasy football purposes. First and foremost, for the Jaguars, I have Christian Kirk and Zay Jones listed as starters. But let's discuss the potential drawbacks. First and foremost, weather. Second, a very stingy Jets defense and a banged up Trevor Lawrence. Now, I still have Kirk and Zay Jones listed as starters. I don't know how you can bench Zay Jones with what he's been doing lately. Kirk has been pretty consistent all season long, but in this game in particular, I have both of them as low-end wide receiver twos. I'm expecting around 10 to 11 points. Again, in terms of the matchup, not ideal. Then for the Jets, look, I know it's Zach Wilson still under center. It would be much better if it was Mike White, but it's not. However, Garrett Wilson right now is healthy. He is by far and away the guy that's getting the most opportunities, and he's somebody that in PPR formats I think can have some success, similar to the other guys in Kirk and Zay Jones. I'm expecting around 10-ish points from him in PPR formats. I think that's probably what you can expect from the wide receivers in this game as a whole. And then I'm sitting Marvin Jones. I'm sitting Elijah Moore. Just don't think there's going to be enough volume, and I don't love the quarterback situation for the Jets. Then Falcons at the Ravens. I will start Drake London, but honestly, only if it is a PPR league. If it's a standard league, bench Drake London. Reason being, Desmond Ridder made his first start last week. Sure, London had a bunch of targets, 7 catches, 70 yards, I believe, but Ridder had less than 100 yards passing. I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair, so if you need a lot of yards, if you need a touchdown here, I don't love Drake London. And then the Ravens, they're banged up to hell. Quarterback position is banged up. The wide receivers are non-existent. I'm sitting all the Ravens wide receivers. This is going to be a run-heavy game for them, in my opinion. Afterwards, Lions at the Panthers. For the Lions, I'll go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He has been obviously the most consistent guy for Detroit. Then, look, if you need a shot in the dark, I guess DJ Shark. But to me, I think it's going to be a situation where potentially if the Lions pull away, they could focus on running the football with DeAndre Swift, with Jamal Williams. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant to start either a Khalif Raymond, who had some success last week, or a DJ Shark, who I think is the number 2 for the Detroit Lions, especially this being the fantasy playoffs. So I'd much rather go Amon-Ra. He is a top 10 wide receiver for Carolina. They can take advantage of this Lions passing defense. DJ Moore has some decent upside. I have him as a mid to high-end wide receiver too. No really other wide receivers for the Panthers worth discussing. Afterwards, Seahawks at the Chiefs. DK Metcalf is a start, no doubt about it, especially with Tyler Lockett out. This Chiefs defense has not been good these last couple of weeks. The Seahawks should be able to take advantage of it. And then if you need a shot in the dark, Marquise Goodwin to potentially be that sleeper number 2 guy for the Seattle offense. Now that they don't have Tyler Lockett, at least for this week, I think he's going to be a boom or bust low-end wide receiver too. Then for the Chiefs, it's just Juju Smith-Schuster. They've been getting a lot from, Travis Kelce, Jerick McKinnon. Not a lot of volume left afterwards for other wide receivers not named Juju. That's why you see MVS as a sit. Then Saints at the Browns. Really only one wide receiver a piece that I like here for the Saints. It's Chris Olave. That's been the case all season long. I expect around 10, 11, 12 fantasy points in PPR formats. Then for the Browns, Amari Cooper. Look, since Deshaun Watson has returned, the passing totals haven't necessarily been there. Could be a lot better. I have both these guys, Olave and Amari Cooper, kind of as low-end wide receiver twos, maybe a little bit higher ceiling PPR formats, but don't love the matchup here. I think the Saints defense can be a little bit stingy. And then I'm sitting Donovan Peoples-Jones. Again, with Deshaun Watson, the volume hasn't been there through the year. I'd rather sit DPJ. Then Texans at the Titans. Look, this is a similar situation as the last couple of weeks. Brendan Cooks, Nico Collins, Chris Moore, the names to know for the Houston Texans. Titans defense doesn't scare me. This is all about volume. If Brendan Cooks plays, he's the one you want. You sit everyone else. If Nico Collins plays and Brendan Cooks doesn't, he's the one you want. Don't start anyone else. If both of them are out, Chris Moore. Sure, Chris Moore only had about 4 catches for 40-odd yards last week, but he got a ton of volume. And if these two guys are out, he's going to be the top choice again. He's a good volume play in PPR formats. Big ceiling, but again, obviously the floor because of him being on the Texans. Then for the Titans, this is a catch-22. Traylon Burks returns, but Ryan Tannehill not expected to play. Also, they're going up against the Texans. They've got Derrick Henry. I think it's going to be a run-heavy game for the Titans. I don't think Traylon Burks is going to do all that much. I have him as a sit. Then Bengals at the Patriots. I'll start Jamar Chase. I'll start T. Higgins. Yes, Tyler Boyd had success last week, getting a touchdown, pretty much the same stat line as T. Higgins. But I think this is going to be a game where, if you force me to start the number 2 wide receiver, I still believe it's T. Higgins. Jamar Chase is obviously the alpha. That's how I see it. I don't want to gamble with Tyler Boyd, who I currently have as a sit. Then for the Patriots, Jacoby Myers. I'm only starting him in PPR formats because of the volume play, like has been the case all season long. Low-end wide receiver 2. Then Giants at the Vikings. Look, I think this is a game where the Vikings defense can be exposed a little bit. Darius Slayton could be a decent shot in the dark. He's a guy that I think is by a little bit top wide receiver for the New York Giants. We saw what Michael Pittman did versus the Vikings this last week. I'm not saying Slayton is going to do the same, but the Vikings can kind of be exposed through the air. And if the Giants want a chance to win, it's going to have to be focusing in that area to keep pace with an offense that has Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, guys like a TJ Hawkinson. So Slayton, I think, is a solid, boomer bust, low-end wide receiver 2. Then for the Vikings, Justin Jefferson, obviously top 3 wide receiver. Thielen is going to be that low-end wide receiver 2 for you in PPR formats. And then I'm sitting Richie James, just a little bit too rich for my blood to be trusting 2 pass catchers for the Giants. And then Bills at the Bears, only one name I want to start here. That is Stephon Diggs. As of late, the remaining wide receivers for the Bills haven't really been getting the job done. Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, 2 boomer busts. And here versus the Bears in a game that could be a blowout pretty quickly, where the Bills might not have to pass a bunch, I would rather only stick with Stephon Diggs, top 5 wide receiver. And then for the Bears, look, Chase Claypool probably not going to play, and that leaves a who's who of wide receivers. Don't even bother with the Chicago Bears wide receivers. It's going to be ugly at that position for fantasy. Then Commanders at 49ers. I'm only really starting Terry McLaurin here. Yes, Jahan Dotson had a huge game this last week, but look, a lot of it came on like 161-yard catch, so keep that in mind. I still think Terry McLaurin is more of the sure bet. He's been consistent more so this entire season, so I have him as a mid to high-end wide receiver 2. I'm sitting Curtis Samuel. I'm sitting Jahan Dotson. For the 49ers, Brendan Ayuk is kind of the main name. Juwan Jennings too, kind of, but I think if they don't have to, they're not going to air out the football all too much. And Ayuk hasn't been getting the same amount of targets as he was before with, let's say, Jimmy Garoppolo. I know Deebo Samuel wasn't there, but I think it's going to be Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. So I would rather sit Brendan Ayuk. Then Eagles at the Cowboys. So this is a tough one here if you are a Jalen Hurts manager. He's probably not going to play. That is a big hit for you. Big hit for the wide receivers too. Now, yes, the Eagles have Gardner Minshew, so it's not going to be absolutely nothing, but the upside for Brown, Devonta Smith goes down. They're both in the wide receiver 2 category for me. Then for the Dallas Cowboys, it's CeeDee Lamb. He's been the alpha all season long. Sure, Noah Brown is coming off a 2-touchdown game, but look, I think that's kind of lightning striking. So I don't think it's going to happen again. And for that reason, I have him and Michael Gallup as sits. CeeDee Lamb is the one that I can trust, low end wide receiver 1. Raiders at the Steelers, Devontae Adams, that's an obvious choice. Top 5 wide receiver for the Steelers. I like this matchup for them versus this bad Raiders defense. Deontay Johnson, I like him in PPR formats. I think he's going to get a lot of volume and can have success there. I have him as a mid to high end wide receiver 2. Then I'm sitting Mac Hollins, Hunter Renfrow. I just don't believe in any of the pass catchers after Devontae Adams. Don't really believe in Derek Carr to get them ball either the way they're playing right now and the way Josh Jacobs is playing when they can focus on running the ball. For the Steelers, the only other name is George Pickens, but with their quarterback situation, I don't want to trust 2 wide receivers on that offense. Then Packers at the Dolphins. If I have to take a chance on any Green Bay Packer wide receiver, it would be Christian Watson. I think this would be in a game where they're going to have to throw the football, unlike last week. So I have him as kind of a boomer bust wide receiver 2 for the Dolphins. Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, obviously both kind of low-end wide receiver 1s. And then Allen Lazard, Romeo Doubs, I am sitting both of them. If you need one of these guys, because I do think there's the potential here for another Green Bay wide receiver to make an impact, I would take a chance on Allen Lazard, but I'd be lying if I said the lack of volume these last couple of weeks hasn't scared me, so keep that in mind. Then Broncos at the Rams. Only really one wide receiver I want to take a chance on. That's Jerry Jeudy. Courtland Sutton, he's battling a hamstring. We know that Russell Wilson obviously has had his limitations. I'd rather go with the healthier guy. That's Jerry Jeudy. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game as well, so I don't necessarily really love any of the wide receivers. So Sutton is a sit for the Rams. I'm sitting all the Rams wide receivers. It's as simple as that. Without Matthew Stafford, without Cooper Kupp, it's a wasteland. And that's been evident, doesn't matter. So sit all the Rams wide receivers. Then Bucks at the Cardinals, you start Mike Evans, you start Chris Godwin. That's been the case all season long. They're both high-end wide receiver 2s. For the Cardinals, I'm only starting DeAndre Hopkins. I said it last week. Without Kyler Murray, I don't trust the targets and the quality of targets for the guys outside of Hopkins. That proved true for Marquise Brown, and now even more so. Colt McCoy not going to play. Cardinals down to their 3rd-string quarterback, so I'm only going with Hopkins. I have him as a mid wide receiver 2, primarily in PPR formats. And then Chargers at the Colts. I'll start Keenan Allen. I'll start Mike Williams. Now that they're both back, they're kind of both commanding the target share like we expected back at the start of the season. I have both of them as a mid to high end wide receiver 2s. And for the Colts, this is tough. Nick Foles expected to play this week to be the starter. Don't really know what to expect, but I still think Pittman is by far and away the best wide receiver that they have. In PPR formats, I'll take a chance on him coming off a big game, obviously, versus the Vikings. I have him as a mid-level wide receiver, too. Then I'm sitting Josh Palmer again. I think he's talented, but just too many mouths to feed on that Chargers offense. And for the Colts, Paris Campbell will sit without Matt Ryan. I just don't trust the volume, so I'm sitting him. But with that, we wrap up our Week 16 fantasy football wide receiver starts and sits for every single matchup. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all, but in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.